Thank you very much, Betsy, for the introduction. Can everybody hear me? Okay, yeah, these mics are good. So thank you, Betsy, and thank you to CDL for putting on this event. It's a pleasure to be able to speak with you all this evening. As some of you may know, something I love to do is to go outside, to have adventures, and to get some exercise. And some of you may look at pictures like this and think, well, that's obviously me in my comfort zone. That's what I love to do. I have to tell you, I also love my sofa. And when I'm on my sofa, I'm very much within my comfort zone, and I have to work very hard to get myself out of that comfort zone. Something that really helps me is that I know what I'm missing. A favorite band of mine when I was many years ago were James, and they wrote, "If I hadn't seen such riches, I could live with being poor." And I'm lucky that I have seen the riches that lie beyond the sofa. Incidentally, can anybody name the song? Sit Down. Exactly, it's Sit Down. Thank you very much. We're back where we started again, James. You've not been very much used to me after all. I'm aware of the fact that tonight we're talking about the comfort zone, and it might come across that the comfort zone is this bad place. The comfort zone's a wonderful place, and many amazing things can happen there. Paul McCartney wrote yesterday in his sleep. He couldn't have been deeper within his comfort zone. It's a wonderful place. The point I'd like to make is that there are also a plethora of riches that lie beyond that border. I teach sports science here at CDL, so I thought it would be a nice thing to have a look at some interesting studies that can show us some of the benefits of exercise. And you might be expecting me to tell you that exercise is wonderful because it does all these things. It makes us healthy, it makes us beautiful, it helps us live till we're 105. And while all of those things are, of course, entirely true, I would like to speak with you this evening about the brain benefits of exercise. I'd like to look at 3 studies and take us on something of a journey through these studies. Our first stop is in Italy, where some researchers looked at primary students. What they did was split them into 3 groups. So they had a large number of students, and they split them into 3 groups. Some of these students got extra Italian class each week, each day. Another group, the second group, they got closed skill exercise. So they were doing jumping jacks, they were skipping, they were doing circuit training. And the third group had open skill exercises. They had to think while they were exercising. They were playing games. What the researchers did is they took 12 weeks and they tested their short-term memory at the start and at the end of this intervention. And it turned out that the Italian class, they tested them, by giving them tests like, have a look at these pictures. How many of them can you remember when I take them away? They were testing their short-term memory. How many pictures were there? Good. Can anybody remember any of them? I'm spotting the people who took the stairs tonight. Good. Some of us are getting them. It's good. I like your style. Well done. That is what we were looking at. So the Italian class, with their short-term memory classes, essentially, at the start and the end, there was no change. Now, I need to tell you about p-values. Scientists love a p-value. Essentially, if we take 2 sets of data, they're always going to be a bit different. But the p-value tells us how different they're going to be. The lower the p-value, the bigger the difference. And scientists get really excited when p-values get below 0.05. That tells us that something significant is going on. They even like to say statistically significant. So let's see what happens after 12 weeks of circuit training. Well, these guys, wouldn't you know, we got that nice low p-value. Something was going on when they did that exercise each day. They got significantly better in their short-term memory. And how about the students who had to not only exercise but had to think while they were doing it? Wouldn't you know, we have got a super low p-value. Something was really happening when students were given the chance to exercise and think at the same time. Exercise, it turns out, improves our memory. For our second study, like to take you to Stanford, where we're talking about college-age students. We're looking at university students now, and they got a large group of them, and they wanted to see how exercise affected their creativity. For the first group, they had them perform a task inside, sitting down. And let's be honest, that's where most of us perform most of our tasks, where we would like to be creative. We sit ourselves down inside. That's where we find ourselves. The second group, they put them on a treadmill, and they had to perform this task while they were walking on a treadmill. I'm going to take you to the last group now, who had to walk outside as they performed their task. So any reasonable person would be absolutely within their rights to think, well, obviously, what's missing there? They got them to sit outside, didn't they? That's going to be the other group. Not in Stanford. They pushed them on a wheelchair outside. So they still had that full experience of traveling through an ever-changing landscape as they performed their task. What was the task? What they did is they gave them an object, a brick, and they said, I'd like to know how many uses you can come up with for a brick within 1 minute. Some examples might be always smashing a window. Why is it always smashing a window? Why not putting it on paper and stop the paper blowing away? But they had 1 minute to come up with many uses for this brick. Now, the scientists had an idea of how many they would expect, and essentially those who were sitting inside fell exactly within those boundaries. Those who were walking on a treadmill inside, though, their p-value, they cracked it. They cracked it. They came up with significantly more ideas for what they would do with their brick. And those who were not exercising but were experiencing the outdoors also got significantly more. So what happens when we put those two elements together? We have found the secret sauce. Would you look at that? A huge improvement on what we would expect for creativity. And this is the reason that Steve Jobs used to hold a lot of his meetings while walking outside. And it's the reason why if you go to the Apple campus today, you'll find they have more green space than they have office space. It turns out that what did we say exercise did? Improved our... That's well done. Yes, it improves our memory, and it also improves our creativity. For our final study, we're looking at elderly people. And this was in Illinois, where they got a large group of elderly people, and some of them they asked to continue with their sedentary lifestyle, while the other half, chosen randomly, they assigned them a walking task every day. Over the course of a year, they looked at the size of their hippocampus. That's this area of the brain that we've seen in this picture tonight. After the year, they remeasured the size of the hippocampus, and they found that those who had the sedentary lifestyle actually had a slight shrinkage, which is what we would expect for people of that age. But the group who were randomly assigned the walking task had a 2% growth in the size of their hippocampus. And I know what you're all thinking. You're thinking, Jamie, what's the p-value? Well, the p-value is tiny. Look at that. There is a statistical difference between these two groups. Walking actually improves, it changes our brain. So it improves our memory, our creativity, and now we can say it actually changes our brain. Isn't that great? Why would we need to have a large hippocampus? What might a large hippocampus do for us? Well, you won't be surprised to know that the hippocampus is directly related with our memory and our creativity. It also helps us with our decision making, which helps us get through our day-to-day tasks. And it's involved with the release of cortisol, which helps us with all of the stressful situations that we come up with throughout each day. Has anybody ever come out of a shop and forgotten where they've parked their car in the car park and really just can't find their way around? Well, a bigger hippocampus would serve you well in that situation. It really can help us with our spatial navigation. So you can see that all of these things help us with our learning. It's doing wonders for our brain, and on top of that, hippocampus size has been linked with neurodegenerative disease. Larger hippocampus, fewer instances of neurodegenerative disease. So for all of these reasons, we can see that exercise has such a positive effect on our brain. And we started tonight with me on my sofa, struggling to find the confidence, the inspiration to get myself up and get my running shoes on and get myself outside. And we said that the first thing that can really help me is knowing what I'm missing. If I know the benefits, that can really inspire me to get out of that comfort zone. I also find if we're having a think about what else can help me, involving other people is a wonderful way to get out of your comfort zone. This can mean, of course, going outside and having adventures with other people, but it can also mean just sharing stories of, do you know what I did yesterday? Or sharing things online at apps like Strava. It really does help you to have that inspiration, that confidence to get out of your comfort zone. And it doesn't have to be big. Even just getting your shoes tied up is the first step. Every journey starts with a single step. And if you tell yourself, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go round the block. In fact, we did it just last week with the running club at CDL, where they said, oh, we just want to play games. We don't want to go for a big run. And we said, I tell you what, let's just go a very quick route around the block. And once we got up and going, they said, actually, let's go a little bit further. And that's what always happens if we set out for just 5 minutes of something. It will turn into more. So these are my tips for getting yourself out of your comfort zone. It's a thank you from me and a big thank you from Bruno, who is still very much within his own comfort zone. Thank you.